draws you into it, makes you feel more aggressive and into it. You're like, yeah, come on, man. Like, even though you know what's going to happen, you're like, come on, no, stop doing that. Stop doing like stick and move, bro.
You're going down. No way.
Yeah.
But there's more tricks in this one. There's slow motion in this fight, and there's a scene where it gets to slow motion, and the score is essentially a heartbeat, where a heartbeat is playing over it. So this movie really does a good job of using more tricks because they had more budget, but more tricks in regards to how they could play it. So if you watch the first one and this, it's just a big jump. I mean, this one looks like they set it up like an actual boxing match. This is the way HBO, ESPN films, Showtime films these things.
They do that now because of the movie?
No, but I'm saying they didn't have the money to do that in Rocky. And so this one they had the money to make it look like a professional boxing match. Which I kind of liked. And I don't know, I like the slow motion, I like the heartbeat, I like the narrative. I know a lot of people hate when they both fall down in the 15th round.
Oh, no, that's the most iconic. I think that is the most iconic thing almost in American film history.
But
it's so beautiful.
You have to do that for credit of Apollo. I mean, Rocky has not been able to knock out Apollo. And so I don't think 15th round Rocky is still going to get Apollo on the ground or unconscious. So I like that they built the narrative about them both falling down. And Rocky has such a hard head that he's able to get up at 9. And Apollo was up. He was just exhausted from fighting angry. And so I think that's another way of, I like that narrative, but I don't really have any ill will towards it. I read most of the fighting, these fights that are ranked, they rank all the Rocky fights. This is in the top 3, and this is number 1 sometimes.
I think it is definitely number 1.
I would always put Rocky number 1 first because I liked the low budget vibe to it, and I thought, I don't know, I liked how it was more economical with the punches. Because when I was watching this, there are scenes like in the 14th, 13th round where Apollo's landing 12 straight. Then in another time he lands 16 straight. I think I have one time 50 punches in the corner, and then another fight. Like he's doing 14 in a row, 7 in a row. He's just landing constantly, and it's 9 in a row, 6 in a row. And you're like, come on, Rocky. Like, I get that Rocky's a brawler, but
damn, man.
Yeah, right? Now, obviously, I read something very interesting. You obviously can't film this like a real boxing match. You just can't do it. And someone made a good point there. What they said was Rocky got thousands of people to start boxing. But when the 15 that actually continued boxing watch Rocky later on, they're like, what is this? So, but you can't have that. Like, you watch these fight scenes in movies and you can't really gauge them like real fights. So there has to be a different vibe. But this one seemed a pretty big step up from the first one in regards to how many times Rocky gets punched.
Oh yeah, he definitely takes a stronger beating in this one, way more than he did in the first movie.
Apollo's so cool though, man. I like Apollo. I like Carl Weathers.
Yeah, he's always been a really good actor, in my opinion. I've always loved him. I mean, even to this day, when he's doing movies, I still love him. I think he just has a natural glow to him that you don't feel like you're watching an act. You feel like you're watching a real person.
John Lazavat, the former host of this podcast, episodes 1 through 100, co-host, whatever. He and I message each other a lot because Carl Weathers was in Arrested Development, and have you ever heard of his bit? So in this, Carl Weathers is hanging out with the people.
You're talking about the making a soup thing?
Yeah, we're getting our stew on, baby.
He's you're the one who told me that.
He's like, give me those ribs. He's like, we'll put it in some soup. We got a stew. Like Carl Weathers, Predator, this and that. But no, man, this is an epic fight, and I think it's different enough it's a completely different fight from the first one, and I think that's a credit to Stallone and Weathers.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you could tell that they wanted to put more into this. One thing I thought was interesting was that the fights that were in Rocky 1 and Rocky 2, they're about the same time length. Like I think Rocky, it was about 8 minutes long, but this one's slightly longer. It was around 13 minutes long, but that includes the extended slow motion stuff. So it would probably be around the same time, probably maybe like around maybe 11 minutes, maybe a little bit closer to 10 and a half minutes. So I think that's interesting that they kind of kept the fight scene about the same length.
Yeah, they do the first and second round, and then they fast forward, and then they kind of cut it to 14th, 15th.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they kind of kept it the same flow.
Yeah, if it ain't broke.
Yeah, well,
You know what they should have done? They should have fast forward through the first and second, shown the fourth and fifth, then just the 11th and 12th, and then stop.
or like they ring the bell and then you just see Rocky all bloody and it's like, whoa.
And then they're gonna run at each other. Then it cuts and there's the credit.
You know what? Something I found interesting was that the tech advisor I had mentioned, who played the cut man, Al Silvani, he was also the boxing tech advisor on Raging Bull.
Oh wow! That's my favorite boxing movie of all time.
It's seriously one of the greatest films ever, in my opinion. And prior to doing this movie, or prior to doing Rocky 2, he was the second AD on Every Which Way But Loose.
Oh, so he's been in a bunch of fighting movies, fighting pictures.
He was in a lot of films. Actually, one of his early AD jobs was he was the second AD on Magnum Force in '73.
Cannon? Was that a Cannon picture? Is that no? Magnum Force wasn't. Oh no. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's Clint Eastwood. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the Dirty Harry films.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was mixing that up with Chuck Norris's movies that he made with Cannon.
Oh man, I love
Missing in Action.
Well, how could you ever? I don't know if I could talk to a man who misunderstood Clint Eastwood for Lee Marvin.
All right, well, I guess we'll just hang up the podcast here and get going. No, what I do like is I remember watching Any Which Way But Loose, and Eastwood, you believe him as a fighter.
Yeah, he looks like a guy who's definitely scrapped.
Yeah, there it is. He's wiry. He's one of those dudes that you're like, I got him. And then 3 minutes later, you're like, I'm tired, and he's not. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm sure he's thrown down a lot.
But this is fun, man. Thanks for joining me on this Rocky 2 final fight. Now we got to go get our stew on.
Yeah. One thing I just want to add real quick. I think that it's interesting to note that Sylvester Stallone was asked to rank all of the Rocky movies out of a score out of 10, and he gave this one a 7.5.
Oh wow! What do you give the first one? 2?
I didn't find that actually.
I'd say this is a 7.5 movie.
Oh yeah, easily. I think they're all fantastic films though.
So we have Clubber Lang next, and then we have Drago, and then we have Tommy, and then we have Mason Dixon. So we got some good fights coming up.
Yeah, we're gonna have some good ones, and then the Creed movies as well.
Oh heck yeah! Oh, and then we got a Drago to finish it out.
Well, I think the Rocky 4 is going to be its own centerpiece and all of its own. I think that's going to be a 3-part episode.
I think Drago punches Rocky in that first round 210 times. Not a joke.
I don't know.
We should save it. Wait, we should save it for the pod. Yeah, we'll save it for the pod. But hey, thank you for joining me, Chris Kelly.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on.
So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Chris Kelly, this is Final Fights. We'll see you next week.